Drake Nix, and you're watching Drake Nix Vision. Today I want to talk a little bit about why you're so weird. Why am I weird? Why are we weird? Why is it that there's something about us that isn't easily accepted by the groups of people that we hang out with, the school that we go to, the place where we work? There's just something about us that's a little bit different, and for some reason we have a little bit of a harder time being accepted. Before I go into the subject, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a holistic educator and soul guide, and I help people to become their very best selves. When I work with my clients, I help them to identify their blocks, where those blocks come from, and how to consciously create new patterning within themselves so that they can experience lives that are in better congruence with the life that they really want to be living. So today we're talking about weirdness and where it comes from. And I know that, as we go through this life, there are times where we aren't going to feel like we're accepted for who we truly are. And a lot of people put up masks. They see the social conditioning that's presented to them and they say, oh, that's what I'm supposed to act like. And then they put that mask on and they never take it off. And every relationship that they hop into, they're always wearing those masks because they're so afraid of what people would think if people truly saw who they were on the inside. Some people don't actually take the time to know who they are on the inside. They never actually cultivate their own interests or their own opinions. Oftentimes people will take whatever they've heard on the news or from their best friend or their mom or their dad, and they think that's the truth of the world and how things work, but they never actually do any deep soul searching, and they never do the reflection necessary to figure out that there's actually other ways of thinking and being that maybe don't go along with the dominant culture, but are very important, very necessary for us to discover in order for us to create a better world. There have been so many times in my life that somebody has told me that there's something weird about me, something off, where whole groups of people have ostracized me because of something I said or a mannerism that I had or whatever it might be. Oftentimes I never actually found out what it was. I'm weird. Okay, I'm eccentric, I accept that about myself. But growing up in my teens and my 20s, I think it was very difficult for me to accept that I was different. And I tried to fit myself into groups of people that didn't understand me and didn't necessarily want to accept me. And even though I wanted to be loving and I wanted to create these friendships with them, it wasn't reciprocated. There are so many reasons why we might come across weird. It could be that we have certain behavioral patterns that we've learned from the people who raised us. We can always see as we get older those quirks that are within our mom or a dad that maybe we really loathe, or it really triggers us when we see it come out of them. And then in time we realize that we actually do the same things, and we can actually get a little bit self-conscious about it. So that's one area where maybe our weirdness has come from, but there's also other things like traumas. Some of us develop OCD-like tendencies that come from us trying to keep ourselves safe in a world that doesn't feel safe to us. And so, I know somebody who, whenever they'd close a door, they had to lock it a couple of times. Those OCDs help those people to feel safe because it's a level of control that they can manage. Even if they can't control the anxieties that they're feeling, that's some way that they can interact with the material realm that grounds them in this reality. As sensitive people, empaths, intuitives, we are especially weird and especially off sometimes because we're picking up on other people's energies when we walk into a room. So if I walk into a room, I can sense when people have negative feelings towards me. I can sense when they're carrying a really intense energy that I don't want to be around. And I will shut down in those moments, and it's really hard for me to continue to socialize. And so even though I can be an extrovert and I can feel confident and I can go into a space and you would never know that I dealt with insecurities, there's been plenty of times that I've actually been more of an introvert, and where being around groups of people have been so overwhelming to me, and where I've had to leave, or I just don't go out at all because I just don't want to be around people. Sometimes it's because I just need to recharge my own energy, but sometimes it's because those people don't make me feel safe. And in the times that I do go hang out with people when I'm not in a mood to do so, or I do go hang out with people and I know that there's something about that dynamic that isn't safe for me, I act in weird ways. My sentences might not make sense. I might seem distracted. I might say things that are kind of silly and that I regret afterwards, but it's something that I've come to know about myself, that those are moments where I just need to listen to myself. Go home, it's okay, and sometimes we do have to push through and we have to go into those spaces anyway, but it's good feedback for us. So in those moments, pay attention to what about this moment doesn't feel right. If you find yourself acting particularly weird, a little bit more than usual in a way that doesn't make you feel good, then maybe go for a walk. Maybe find a friend who you can confide in and express the things that are coming up for you. Maybe get some feedback. Maybe they're feeling the same way. But pay attention to what is in your sphere, because the universe is constantly in communication with you, helping you to develop self-knowledge. But the best thing about being weird is that some of us are just intrinsically quirky. It's the thing that makes awesome characters on this planet. The amount of people that I'm surrounded by that have such a cool uniqueness to them is overwhelmingly awesome. And I feel so blessed to know the people that I do that have really forged a path for themselves where they refuse to listen to what the world said they should be like or act like or how they should live their life professionally. And they went out and they did something entirely different. They had that weird hobby or interest that other people would have said, why are you into that? Like that's not cool. You should not be into that. Don't let people know that you're into that. But then they did it anyway. And now they're building lives that are so unique to them, and they're bringing things into the world that we would have never seen had they not followed their path. The people who are able to own themselves and come out with those interesting character traits and laugh at crazy things and laugh at themselves and make funny jokes or not funny jokes or dress in ways that seem a little bit unusual. They wear some colors that you definitely would never wear, but it's rocking for them. They go up on stage and they perform something that you would definitely never do, but they're owning that. And that's so cool, because if they weren't able to do that, you would never get to witness that unique experience. You would never be able to witness that particular moment in time and space that will never exist again. You understand how cool that is? Like you and all of your uniqueness and your weirdness, there is nobody like you in the entire world. You are so unique unto yourself, and it's something that we can really learn to love in time. There's something in the Bible that said something like, blessed are the meek or something. I would like to say blessed are the weird, blessed are the people that don't really have it dialed in with how to exist within mainstream society, because I'm pretty sure the weird people are going to be the first on this path to awaken. All the people that are going through the really big awakenings right now, they're not the people who fucking fit in. They're the people who have really had to look at themselves because they've been so uncomfortable with these lives that they've had to seek out alternatives. They're the first ones that go through the dark nights of the soul because they're feeling all of these unhappy things about who they are and how the world doesn't accept them, and they have to retreat. It's like the hermit card. It's really important for us to take that time to be by ourselves, but we're often driven there by being uncomfortable with our lives. There was a time period about a decade ago when I was a raft guide, and I spent a summer living in Riggins, Idaho, and I had this crew of people that I worked with. They were all people about my age, and every time I walked into the room, one of the guys would say something about me and kind of like a whisper, and then everybody would bust out in laughter, and it was a continuous cycle. And I spent a lot of time crying by myself because I didn't understand why they didn't like me and why I didn't fit in. And eventually I asked this girl, I'm like, hey, why are they making fun of me? What are they saying? And she said, it's really mean, and I don't want to tell you. And so I just kind of had to bear it for the rest of the summer, and I left as soon as I could. But that wasn't the first time, and it wasn't the last time that I experienced groups of people that were unkind and groups of people who took part in bullying behaviors. And I think that it makes me a much more kind and loving person because I know what it feels like to be on the other end, and I know how I would never want to make another person person feel. So I go out of my way to make sure that everybody feels like they are seen and perfect just as they are. We thrive when we are around community that can see us and support us and love us, even though we might not even know ourselves. Like, am I lovable? Am I acceptable? But when we show up and we can hold that space for other people, like, yeah, it is okay. Like, it is okay for you to be you. People blossom within that energy. And so the more that you can get a handle on accepting yourself and providing that space for other people, we begin building those spaces where everybody can come out as themselves and they don't have to wear the masks anymore, and they can be the person that they've always wanted to be. Going back to maybe the OCDs and the ways that we built some of our quirks in order to protect ourselves, if there's something that you don't like about how you're presenting yourself to the world, for the most part, that often can be changed in one way or another. In a previous video, I talked about when we become mindful and we begin to slow down our thoughts, or we begin to disconnect ourselves from our thoughts, we can see where the thought came from. We can see where the belief or the patterning came from. And so once we do that and we get to the root of it, oftentimes when we remove the root, we can put in new programming. If you're somebody who has a fear of talking, that's often an issue with the throat chakra. And so that's something that we can work on that will allow you over time, when you look at the issues that you hold within the throat chakra space, that's usually related to, when you were a kid and you said something and somebody said, oh, that's stupid. Like, why would you say that? You shut down and then you stuff it down and you never speak up again, at least not in the way that you did at that point in time. And so we're constantly through our whole life experiencing things like that make us feel like we're unsafe to be in our own bodies. And there's areas of us of like, a solar plexus is an area of, oh, I'm going to go out into the world and I'm going to achieve, I'm going to do things. But if you try to bring something out into the world, somebody's like, oh, that's dumb. Like, nobody will ever like that. You'll never be accepted if you do that. You'll be like, oh, okay, like, I guess I won't do that. And then you shut down the solar plexus area, our sacral. That's where we have our feelings oftentimes, where we make sense of the way that we relate to the world around us. And if we come to a place where we, have some feelings and maybe we try to express them, or we have some feelings, but it makes us feel guilty because somebody told us that we should have shame around those feelings if they come up, that closes down the sacral. But the sacral is where our creativity comes from. And so many ways. And so if you shut down your emotions, you shut down your creativity. You work on your emotions and you work on figuring out where are those memories, where are those trigger points from the younger years that created those blocks. You can remove them. You can open yourself to be more feeling, which then turns into more creativity, which then turns into helping your throat chakra to clear, and then you're more expressive. Or, you look at your heart and there's been like heartbreak that's happened in your life. And that's a really common one, that when somebody breaks our heart, we want to shut our heart down. People are mean to us, like we don't want to love, because like if people aren't going to love us, why would we love them? But then we choose to do it anyway. And we choose to go into our heart and we're like, hey, I see this person that hurt me. I see this person who broke my heart. I see this person who is mean to me, and I choose to love myself anyway, and I choose to love them anyway. And that is fucking strength. If you can do that and you can love that person anyway, because you can recognize that they come from their own programming and their own social conditioning and their own fears and anxieties and history, the things that made them when they were younger, all those people who wear those masks, they are weak. Those are the people that are the most fearful. Those are the people that are most scared to actually live their damn lives. But you, and all the fucking weirdos of the world, like we're the ones who actually go out there and we do something fucking different because nobody's going to tell us what we can and cannot do. They already tried to put us into boxes, but we didn't fit into their fucking boxes. So then we come out here and we're like, hey, we're going to fucking blast out of this shit and design something new that we can fit into. We're going to design lives that work for us, that make us feel whole and expansive and allow us to play, allow us to love, each other, the world around us, allow us to heal, allow us to take care of everything around us. All of those situations where we didn't fit in, they're all perfect catalysts that help us to come into the world and break out. And when we do that, it's like the ugly duckling. You have this swan that's being raised around a bunch of ducks and it thinks that it doesn't fit in, it thinks that it doesn't belong. And at the end, it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, you don't don't exist there because you're a swan and those are ducks. You know, like you're like this majestic, beautiful creature that's meant to be majestic and beautiful, and those are ducks. They're cute too, and they have like their own purpose in life, but you're a fucking swan, you know, and you got to figure out like, oh, okay, like it was very awkward trying to be a duck, and like I didn't know how to walk like them or quack like them. But then once you realize who you are and that you're this majestic creature, you get to figure out, how do you sound? How do you communicate? How do you go into the world? And what does it look like to be you in your fullness? Because it's not going to look like anybody else's, and it's going to be weird and messy and odd and kind of strange, and that is totally okay because it doesn't have to look like anything. This is a constant state of experimentation. You get to build this life however you want, you know. So what are you going to do with it? How are you going to build your life with your weirdness? How are you going to go out there and create spaces where other people can be weird and they can be themselves, and nobody's going to judge each other because we can see that everybody is trying to be their best self and everybody is trying to become a better person, and we stand together and we hold each other's hands and we love those people so entirely in their essence. And that's where the revolution is. All these people that are awakening all over the world. It's not totally localized, although in Portland we're in a total bubble here, because I know in like other parts of the country you guys don't have it like we do. Here, I mean, it is so cool to be able to step out of my bedroom every day and be so loved by the people that I live with and the people that I work with, and to have such best friends and family that is chosen and that I get to build a world with, you know, and we're all odd and it's hysterical, you know, like I have never laughed so much in my life. I've never been so weird in my life, and it is so refreshing and it is so liberating. And so even if you find that you don't have people around you that really understand your weirdness right now, that's okay. Like, leave them behind. You don't need to be around people that don't want to work to understand you and love you in your fullness. And as you let go of those people, new doors will open, and new people, new tribe, you could say, are going to come to you and actually meet you and help you to see that you are so perfect just as you are. So I hope that this has been beneficial for you. I hope that maybe you have a new insight into what it is to be a weird person and have some pride in it, and be able to use that to not only love yourself in your complexity and in your wholeness, but also to find love and develop your heart space to more fully accept other people and all of their weirdness too. If you liked what you've heard today, please subscribe below, like, comment, share with a friend. I really appreciate your support as I spread these messages, as we heal ourselves and the planet and create a better world for everybody here. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.